And we are live. Welcome to the first ever Mojo's Milkshakes, movies, music, games, you name it. Basically everything but the kitchen sink. Podcast on Saturday nights with Grey Wolf Gamer. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me on the show again. Good to be here. I'm doing well.
That is good. Well, you want to tell listeners a little bit your background, your gaming?
Sure. So I've been gaming since the early '80s. I mean 2600. The Atari 2600 was my first system ever when I was a child. Showing my age here, but I've been playing games, God, ever since then. Recently, I've been getting way more into retro gaming. I just feel like retro gaming is a little bit more pure. I mean, nothing wrong with the newer games today, but retro gaming to me is more of a pure experience. I mean, you get the game, it's the game. There's no add-ons, no crazy DLC, no patches. You get it bugs and everything. It's complete, done, and you have something that's physically tangible, which that's a whole other thing we can talk about later. But yeah, I mean, yeah, right. Try that again. But yeah, I've been playing games forever. I have them all. Also showing my nerdiness here. But I have Xbox One, I have PlayStation 4, I have the Switch, I have a lot of the legacy systems. I still have my 2600. I have Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, Wii, yeah, Wii U. You just assume all the Nintendo systems. Have the portables and all the PlayStations. Um, and my library is pretty large.
You sound like me, except you probably got a much bigger library, even though I bet I got more games because I'm not afraid to pirate dead systems. So I've got EverDrives for almost all those systems. I don't have a 2600 because I just don't care for those games pre-NES. I just think they wasn't even at an 8-bit level. They were more like 4-bit, or I once was told that they were actually like 5-bit. So, I mean, I had one back in the day, and before that, I even had a Pong system. I'm not old, but yeah, I've got the NES, the Master System, and the Super Nintendo, the Genesis, and I love the EverDrives for them, so I can play any game that ever came out on those systems, and a lot of the Japanese games that were never released here, I've got English patches for them, and so that's cool. And just yeah, I love it. And I even got some modern clone consoles that I use those EverDrives with. That way I'm not actually using my 30 and 40-year-old original hardware consoles too much. Although I'd like to get the analog Genesis and analog Super Nintendo, but those are like $150, give or take each. And I just like, man, you can buy an original one for half of that, and you can buy the clone ones that'll let you play the games, via the real games, via cartridges, for a third of that. So it's like, I never got one when they dropped. I think they still have stock and they still sell them at their own site. But I don't see them anywhere else anymore because they're just so expensive. But they use the FPGA, whatever that kind of system to do the games.
Right.
But right. I like the EverDrives. I like just I even have like a PC engine that's got the CD built in, the Japanese version of it, and I've got basically an EverDrive card for it that you put right into the card slot, and it'll play all the games. And of course, it's plays all the CD games too. But I try not to play too many of the CD games because a lot of them will play through the card I got has CD games on it too, so you don't have to actually put the CD in the disc and worry about your laser or your drive going out. Because that's the thing with any of those CD systems, those lasers, man.
Oh yeah.
PS1, my God, Sony bought the cheapest lasers that known to
The
man.
only way to play it is upside down.
Yeah,
For those people who know what I'm talking about, that's the only way you can play it half the time is flip it and then there it goes. But yeah, they were terrible, and
yeah,
Sony just
they
covered that
just
up. Ugh,
the PS2 wasn't any better. Their lasers was cheap as crap too.
yeah.
I went through about one PS2 a year during the
Wow.
entire generation because I was using this as my primary DVD player.
Uh,
And actually, I shouldn't say the whole generation. After about the fourth one, after about 4 years in, by that time I bought a decent home DVD player and said no more PS2s for movies because they just don't last.
no, they don't. I mean, my PS2 lasted, but only because I wasn't using it for movies. I actually was one of the early adopters for a DVD player when they were like stupid expensive. I saved up crazy money for it because I just adopted the format early. But so I got lucky in that sense. But I eventually bought another one. It broke. I mean, my PS2 did break. I'm not gonna say it's indestructible, but I finally got another one. I got one of the slim models, and that's been pretty good to me. But I've only been using it for games, not for DVDs.
Yeah,
So
not too long ago. Well, actually, it was about 3 years ago. I bought a PS2 and got all the different stuff you needed, basically to soft mod it. You don't have to hard mod it, and you can put a hard drive in it with all the games. But I never did get the games to put on the hard drive, and still haven't yet. I'm at some point maybe I'll find somebody that's got a hard drive full of PS2 games, so I can just plug it in. It'll be fine. But I even trying to download once they got to the PS2 era, even trying to download those games can take forever, especially if you just got an older, slow computer,
right.
or depending on your internet connection. And some of those sites are sketchy at best. And places that got ROMs, those download so quick. I mean, you can download like the entire NES or Super NES library of games in literally a few minutes, and boom, you have them. But
Yeah.
you download, 10, 10 or 12 PS2 games. Oh, that's taking some time. Yeah, it ain't happening quick.
No,
So I've
especially
just
those.
I
They're
just
larger, and more
yeah,
complicated. So
and the way they put them online too. Sometimes they split them up and do crazy shit, and they take stuff out. I mean, they're the people putting these online can do whatever they want. You know, so sometimes they remove stuff to make them fit, make them smaller. And I'm like, no, I don't want that. Unless I want the full, complete game and everything done correctly. And so I just hadn't full with that. So, but I have everything up to that, and I have that set up and ready whenever I find somebody that's got a. I mean, I've got like a Wii with a hard drive that has every Wii game that ever came out, including the downloadable ones that were never released on any kind of disc, and every GameCube game, all on that one hard drive that plays off the Wii. It's awesome. And it's also got emulators for all the older systems too, but I don't like the emulators. I like playing the real games. They're on that hard drive, and they're playing the through the actual Wii. So it's no different than if you had the little Wii disc, or I should say the little GameCube disc, or if you had a Wii disc. They play identical. Same thing. I got an Xbox, OG Xbox. It's got every Xbox game that came out. It's got a hard drive built into it. That's pretty huge. I mean, it's into the teraflop, or it's yeah, it's actually too big. Well, it's like 2 teraflops bigger than what you're supposed to use. But the guy claimed he could make it work, and I was like, "That's fine, put it in." And he sent it to me, and the first time it didn't. It worked. One game played, and after that, I couldn't get anything else to play. I had to send it back to him. I guess something happened in transit. I don't know, but he put a different hard drive with all the games still on it, and same size and all that, and everything's worked fine since then. But yeah, I'm way more retro than I am current. I even like playing retro games on the current systems. I probably have about 30 of those ACA Neo Geo games on the Xbox One. You there? Hello? And I think we've lost Grey Wolf. He said he might have some problems. So, oh, he's back.
Hello. Yep. Hi. Yeah. Sorry, connection issues. So I may pop in and out. So my
That's
apologies
fine.
in advance.
I was just reminiscing about all my retro systems with ways around playing them.
Yeah. No. That's I love the Neo Geo games that they have. The ACA. I heard you with the ACAs. I've been using actually my Switch for that one, just because I like to have them portable. But it's just wild to me that they're like for $7 you can get something that was $200 each.
Yeah.
In the '90s, it was like oof, and they're like so small. They used to push like we're like 20, 79 gigabits, and not even gigabytes, gigabits. That was a big thing. And it was just like, with so much more than the Genesis and Super Nintendo. It's like, yeah, you are, but you're also so much more expensive. So
Yeah, it's crazy. Uh, I've spent a fortune on Neo Geo stuff. I've got an original AES. Now I don't never tried to buy games for it, but I've got the 160 something in one, which really only has about 40 to 50 games on it. And I've also got that for an MVS, and I've got a consoleized MVS to play Neo Geo games.
that's cool.
But I've also got the PS2 disc that's full of Neo Geo games, the Wii disc that's full of Neo Geo games.
Yeah, I got that one too. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, that was good.
Anything that ever came out with Neo Geo, I can't help myself. I've got the thing that looks like a controller that has games on it, and I've got two of the little ones that look like mini arcade machines, mini Neo machines.
I
got
recently got one of those myself. Yep, those are awesome. My only gripe with the little mini one that came out recently is it's the international version, so it's the censored. Not that much, but like the blood is white or something, whatever.
Yeah.
I still like it though. I mean, because I could still get them on the Switch or the PS4 or the Xbox if I want to get the one with the Japanese version. You can have everything uncensored, and I think the hamster ones let you uncensor the American one. So there you go.
But yeah, I don't even care that much for fighting games, although I do kind of collect fight sticks. Although I don't have a huge collection, but I got, I don't know, 10 or 12 of them that some are pretty old I've hung on to over the years, and a couple are fairly current. But yeah, there's a handful of more I'd like to get, but generally people overcharge for those things too. I mean,
that's true.
Yeah, there's been a bunch for the 360, PS3, and then PS4 and Xbox One that I was like, I'm not paying $150 for a fight stick.
They're insane.
That I'm barely going to use, and I'm only probably going to use it on platformers, and I don't play that many fighting games. So right. I bought a one that I consider just as good, the Mayflash one, F300. It's an awesome fight stick, and it's just pretty cheap. And they've got now even that one's getting up to about $80 though. But they've like improved it a couple times. I think I only paid like 40 something when I bought my original one back around 2014, 2015, somewhere's in there. But it works with everything: the Switch, the PS4, Xbox One, PS3, 360.
8-bit Dome, am I saying that right? The one that's like yeah, 8-bit, thank you. I got one of those myself that works with everything. That's what I love about them.
Yeah. But I got some pretty cool classic ones. I've got the one they put out for the PS1 that also works for the PS2 and PS3 because they all use the same controller cord. that it was third party, but Namco made it, but it says PlayStation actually on it and has it was licensed by Sony or whatever, but it's I don't know, the buttons and the stick in it are just, the stuff they put in it right out of the factory was as good as the arcade stuff. I don't want to get into the whole various buttons and sticks and stuff like that. That's a whole rabbit hole you can go down and order all that crap and change it out when you buy a 5-stick. But yeah, I've got like a couple for the Saturn. I've even got a couple for the Genesis, one for the Super Nintendo, one for the NES stick, and got a couple of Neo Geo sticks. But again, I don't play that many fight games, so it's like I don't know why I get that crap. I just do. Can't help myself. It's like these minis now. I have all of those, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. I mean, most of them are hackable, and you can put a crap ton of games on them, so that's pretty cool. But at the same time, it's for whatever reason, those I like hooked up to my 4K set. I got an HDMI switcher, and I got them all hooked to that. I don't like trying to run my original consoles because I know there's all kinds of ways now you can hook HDMI and other high-end ways of hooking up your old consoles to modern TVs. But I went out and bought some CRTs and picked up, and I got all my old systems hooked up to those. So these minis I run through my normal setup and just use HDMI. You there? Have we lost you again? Yeah,
Can you
great.
hear me?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
there
hear
we
you.
go.
You're back.
I was just saying that that I bought one of those HDMI converters for the Super Nintendo. I don't remember the brand, sorry, off the top of my head, but it was pretty expensive and it works well. But in my opinion, CRT is still the way to go. It's just what it was originally intended for, and I know that like Digital Foundry did something about this, but CRT should never have really gone away because you can actually do some incredible pictures that even found some of the 4K stuff on a good CRT monitor. They
Yeah.
actually proved it too, and it was amazing. And it's like you don't even have to run it like 1080p or whatever. You just match the resolution of it, and it looks sharp, and you can turn everything on. It looks amazing. And they were just like, they really need to revisit the technology. And I agree.
Yeah, unfortunately, they shut down all those factories, and I don't think they'll ever open one
I
back
know.
up because you have to blow those tubes, and it's an expensive
Oh, it is.
ordeal. But
I mean, I
I've
know.
heard, and I don't know if it's true, but I've heard that China is sitting on thousands upon thousands, if not even more than that, CRTs that not being used are just in warehouses. So maybe those will eventually show up on the internet and can be ordered.
You
I know
never
right
know.
now I have like 4 good ones, but I'm going to get rid of 2 of them when I'm moving in October, and I just can't keep all 4 of them. It's too much. They're too heavy. But I'm
Yeah,
still going to
that's
keep
true.
2 because I like, you know, I don't want 15 systems hooked up to one television. So I'm gonna keep 2 of them and just use switchers and yeah. But let's move on. Let's get to speaking of retro, man. Nintendo dropped the whole Mario thing the other day.
Yep.
I've been hearing some people just flipping out over Nintendo's practices, and they're all upset. But other people, I guess, love Nintendo or Nintendo fanboys, whatever you want to call them. They're fine with it. They're just happy they're getting a bunch of Mario games. So, uh,
Well, I'm a mixed bag on that one. In a way, I'm kind of glad that they're doing it. I mean, it's cool because the Switch has just about everything now in terms of Mario, with one glaring omission, which is where I have a bit of an issue with what happened to Mario Galaxy 2. um, there's a lot of theories behind that one, and I'm willing to bet, given that it's a limited release, which is really another odd choice, which I don't understand. I'm willing to bet that they're going to do some kind of online service next year that perhaps does Wii and GameCube games, similar to what they're doing with the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo, and I bet you it debuts there. Um, that's just my guess. I mean, I could be completely off base, but it just doesn't make sense why that's literally the only Mario game other than New Super Mario Brothers Wii that's just not on the Switch. It's everything, literally everything else is. Um, Even the 3D World, which is its own separate game, which actually now that's cool because that is actually seeing DLC and extra content. So that to me is like,
Yeah, well, I agree. And the thing with that one is that's much more modern, so
that's true. That's very true.
that's why it's by itself. But those other ones, yeah, the Galaxy 2 should definitely have been on there. But I think they're going to split them up at the end of whenever that deadline hits. And if you haven't bought them, they'll still be available. I think they'll still have them available digitally, but at that time, you'll have to buy them individually for whatever they consider is full price for an old game. And that's when Galaxy 2 will probably drop, I'm thinking.
I think you're right. Like I said, it's I don't know. We'll know next year when March or whatever comes around. I know. I mean, admittedly, I'm still getting a copy because I love the games, and just being able to play them portable is enough for me. But that's me. That's a lot of people don't agree. Some people do. Like I said, I'm a bit of a mixed bag with it, but I'm still looking forward to it. And the fact that it's coming out so soon, I mean, 2 weeks from now, that's pretty impressive considering. I mean, it means they had it in the works, but the only other odd thing that I have with this series is Mario 64. They only doubled or tripled the resolution. It's only It's like 720 by 940 because it's not even full screen. It's like the full, the 4:3. Where the other two are 1080p. So it's like, well, why didn't you just bump up Mario 64? It just seems to be an odd decision to me. I'm sure there's a reason behind it, and it's probably just an emulation port, I'm guessing. But it's just so strange that one has such a, I'm going to put this one in quotes, low resolution compared to the other two, which is using the full resolution of the Wii, the Switch.
Yeah, but it's, I don't know, almost everything done on the N64 is kind of a weird situation.
64 is a very strange system. It's hard to emulate. I mean, you can do it, but it's hard to emulate. It's got some weird quirks to it. I know a lot of programmers back in the day hated it. There's some weird memory architecture situations going. And it's just, I don't know. I mean, you think Nintendo of all people would just redo it, but clearly that whatever they did for Mario 64, this is the best they could offer in the short time that they created it. I mean,
they should have started this 3 years ago, and they should have true.
I agree. Totally agree.
Just, from the ground up, not just remastered, but whatever. They should be fully bumped up games that would be amazing. So they did as much or as little as they could, and like the one that just dropped, the Super Mario All Stars, they didn't do anything with that. That's still original. You're gonna get it in whatever it originally was, just like the crap you get on the Switch now. When if you rent their old games and play them like that on their little service they have on there.
Yeah, but
their online service.
I mean, okay.
I think we lost you again for a second there.
Oh, you are. Okay, there you are.
You're back.
What I was saying was, I'm okay just for the the Switch Online, those free games you get free. We'll put that in quotes, free, because you're really paying for it. Yeah. But I'm okay with those being the originals. That doesn't bother me at all. They have the rewind feature. That's like for people that just want their pure experience. Nothing wrong with that. But in terms of the actual physical releases, like Mario 64, the Mario All Stars that they're coming out with physically, um, that I feel like they could have done a little bit more with, especially with Mario. And I'm picking on Mario 64 because there is a PC contingent that actually not only got it to 1080p, they got it 60 frames a second. They improved the sound effects. There's just so many enhancements on the emulated. Well, at this point, it's almost a remake version. Some people are even remaking an Unreal, 4 engine, and it's like it's so far ahead of what Nintendo's offering. It's like, hey, Nintendo, you could have stepped up your game. You should have stepped up your game, and they didn't.
Yeah, for an anniversary year, they should have done more. I thought on as far as cleaning up the games but hey, it's money. The less work
True.
they do, and the more they can charge. That's what they're always going to do.
That's true. I mean, the other thing that does look cool though is that the Mario Kart AR thing.
Yeah, but the cars are like $150 a piece. You realize that, right? You have to buy a real car. And it's got a camera, and it runs around your own home, and then you see. Yeah, it's that's an expensive proposition. You get 2 cars, that's $300 plus the cost of the game. I think you've dropped out again. You're coming in and out.
In and out, huh? 1, 2.
You're
Okay.
back. You're
Can you hear
back.
me? Okay. I was going to say that the game or the download code does come with the cars, so at least you get that. But
No. There's real cars in that. You have to pay for those. They're like $150
right,
each.
yeah. But the physical car itself, when you buy the car, it's supposed to come with a download
Oh, it
code for
comes
your
with the
Switch.
games. Okay.
Yeah. So at least there's that. But yeah, no, the car. I mean, it's a cool concept, but it's just very expensive. Um, I'm looking more
Collectors
forward
will still
to
buy them up. Guaranteed. Collectors will
Oh
buy them
yeah.
up. I mean, they bought all that cardboard crap that Nintendo sold. Uh,
So
but there
true.
are people right now with unopened ones that they bought from like Targets and Walmarts and places. They bought all those eventually sold, and they're collectors on them, and they're unopened and not been used. Someday they'll be selling those on eBay for like $1,000 each.
That's true. That's true. I'm in the wrong business.
Yeah, I use everything. I don't.
So do
Even if
I.
I collect something, I still use it. And
Yeah, I buy a lot of stuff from like limited run and all that, but I get the collectibles, but I actually open up my stuff. I actually play the games. I actually display the wallpapers. Put them up in my house or whatever. As I can. I got a space, admittedly, but I'm the same way. I have to play and use my stuff. It's just what's the point if you can't enjoy it? I mean, some people like it. I mean, hey, if they're a collector and they want to keep it unopened, cool. But that's not me. I have to open it. I'll keep it pristine as much as possible, but it's going to be opened.
yeah,
I know what I just said was blasphemy to anybody who's a collector, but that's me.
yeah, I tend to stay away from collectible stuff, or I just have a
In a
huge.
way, you're better off.
I have a huge movie collection, but I rarely buy games on disc anymore, physical. I did buy PlayStation 4 games discs because I only buy their bangers, so I've only had to buy like 10 or 12 games. Everything else I have digitally for my Xbox, so I have like
Sure.
almost 800 games on my Xbox. So yeah, it's been a great generation for me, and all those games carry forward to the Series X. So
Yeah.
every one of them, it's just I love that, and you're not gonna, yeah, that's a great thing.
Yeah, I feel like that was one of the smartest decisions is to keep it all backward compatible. So I mean, I don't even know what Sony's doing yet.
Well, I
I
think
know it's
everything
supposed
that's
to
on the
work with the 4,
PS4 will play on the PS5.
and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Although I would love to have the full legacy, but you know what? The 4 actually is the system I have the most for. even over the PS2, which was my favorite before 4 came out. 4 just has such a variety and so many things going on, for it, and Xbox too. I just want to add that in there. That it's just, to me, it's just better to be able to play it in the next gen rather than not. I'm just glad that they're at least doing that much. But the Xbox, what they're doing.
You dropped out again. But yeah, what Xbox is doing is amazing with
Yeah.
every generation of system. Now, I'm hoping they bring back a lot more OG Xbox games, because right now there's not that many, but hopefully they'll do more of those, at least double, if not triple, the amount of games offered. Because I don't mind buying those. I'll go back and even though I've got them all on a hard drive on an OG Xbox, if Xbox sells them on their Series X, I will gladly buy them.
Sure. Yeah, I'm the same way. I am the same way. I also like the fact that they're doing the smart delivery so that you get the enhanced versions.
Yeah, those are going to be stuff. OG Xbox games, it's going to get HDR and things like that. It's pretty amazing.
Right. So looking forward to that. I'm just, you mentioned earlier. Oh, actually, well, we didn't mention it, but we're going to mention it now, I guess. I don't mind. I just don't know what the price is going to be. They didn't. I mean, what? We're 2 months out now. Yeah, October, November, maybe, and we don't know what
A
the price
month
is
and a
going to be
half,
on it.
because I think
Yeah.
Xbox is going to drop early in November.
And okay, so how much are they going to charge us for these?
It's going to be 500. There's no doubt in my mind it's 500.
I'm okay with 500, but anything more than that, it's going to be pushing it. It really is. But we'll see. We'll see what they. I think
And I
Sony is
think,
purposely
well,
waiting for Xbox.
the Series S is only going to be 300. So I think that system, it may end up selling like crazy. Although in my mind, I can't imagine why anybody would buy a lesser system if there's something more powerful out there. Because I like to have the best.
Yeah, same here.
And of course, people say, "Well, then why didn't you get the PC?" Well, because I don't like playing my games on PC. I like playing them on my console, on the couch, and in front of my TV.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I'm more of a console gamer myself. I mean, I have PCs. I have a decent PC, and I have games on the PC. Nothing wrong with that. But for the most part, if it's a platformer, even a shooter, I'll play on Xbox or PlayStation or something. And I'm also a big fan of portable, just because I'm always on the go, at least for work and stuff. Well, not so much now with the pandemic, but it's just easier for me to be able to, you know, play like when I'm on a plane or something. So it works out for me in that sense. But yeah, PC, I totally get PC gamers. I see why, and I know Nvidia recently debuted some wild, crazy big card that can do like 8K 60 frames a second gaming. But it's only $1,500. Just I'll write them a check.
Well, the step down cards is what they're making a big deal out of, because that's pretty cheap. The 3070 is supposed to only be 500, but that's just for the card. You still got to have a case, a power supply, a motherboard, your RAM, your SSD. Yeah, you're looking at somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000. Easy to put a system together using that particular video card. Give me the $500 Series X and I'm happy. And I've been saying I'm buying them both day one and I put the money back and all that, but I'm about to move in October. So depending on what everything up costs me, I may not get the PS5 day one. And I still might. I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but it's
to me, it comes down to what games launch with it. A lot of the games I want to get for it won't be out till 2021, so I might just wait myself.
Yeah, I'm going to be waiting more likely, just because I don't need it right now, and I've just got too much on my Xbox that's going to carry over.
Oh yeah,
I want to play them because I know games are going to look better. They're going to have higher frame rates now, and I probably have a backlog of 100, 150 games out of the 700 plus I got. So I'm gonna have a ton of stuff I've not played that'll, you know, and then stuff I have played that I'm gonna want to replay because now it's gonna look and play better. It's just I'm getting the X is my primary system, so I'm there. But I will get a PS5 at some point. You know, once a few bangers drop, and then I'm gonna do just like I did with the PS4. That's when I'll buy it, and then I'll buy a physical disc, and because I don't got to buy very many. Because everybody thinks there's like thousands of games. No, I'm only talking about Sony's exclusives, and they only put out about 2 a year.
That's right.
it.
Yeah.
You know, a good year they might put out 3, and then all them other ones aren't truly exclusive, and those all end up coming to Xbox and Switch later.
Right.
So yeah, I'm good with if I have to wait, but I may still get it at day one. I don't know. We'll see. Depends on what all my moving cost and all that is in October.
Oh sure, absolutely.
But at least the money for is put back. So if I don't, at least for the Series X, I don't got to worry about it. Other than getting it pre-ordered whenever they drop that date, that's all I care about more than the price. Is let me know and I can go to a GameStop and say, hey, I'm gonna just pre-order in my name, and then here's some money. But
yeah, hopefully we'll hear something soon. I mean, I would imagine. It'd be terrible if they shadow drop it or something like they did, like when Sega dropped the Saturn back when that came out. No one expected it. It's like, oh hey, by the way, it's out. What? It was like 4 months early.
Yeah.
It was like $400 or something. It was so expensive. But
they had so few, it was a big mess, and they just that was kind of the start of their downfall. That was when Sega of Japan was doing one thing, and then Sega of America was doing something different.
Oh, I know.
And it
made
no sense, but yeah, that's just the way it went.
You know, and I like Saturn. I have a Saturn, and I didn't buy it when it came out. But
it's one of my all-time favorite systems.
Yeah, it's awesome, and I have some imports for it because let's face it, I'm glad that it's easy to import. You know, I just needed a card that I flip in the cards.
Well, you went out again, but I'm even happier that I can burn every game for it, and the lasers in those Saturns are like, unlike the crappy ones that Sony put in the PS1s, the Saturns have lasers that just seem to last forever, and they're built
they're really good.
I just burned my games for it, and I got one of those cards that you pop in, and I didn't have to go in, and it's not
yeah, I know.
Well, I do have one hard modded Saturn, and then I've got a couple soft modded ones that aren't no hard modding, no fooling around. You just put one of those cards in it, you know, the memory expansion thing, but you just, and it lets it play every Japanese games, and or it'll play burnt disc.
Yeah, that's the one I have too. I have that same cartridge. But it's not. I mean, like I said, I'm thrilled that I actually have one of the physical copies of Panzer Dragoon Saga, or Panzer Dragoon RPG as it's known in Japan. And I mean, that code was lost to time. So it's like, I mean, if they have to remake it, they're going to have to kind of build it from scratch. But I'm just thankful I actually was able to play it. It's still one of the greatest games I've ever played. I just hope that they somehow re-release it, because more people need to play this game.
Yeah. Well, all those games just look so good on a CRT from the Saturn. I don't get the same look from the PS1 stuff. Although there is some 2D stuff that looks pretty good from the PS1 too, but I don't know. So much of it was that it was the first generation of 3D, and that stuff just did not carry over well. Most PS1 games look like crap, you know. Thank God the Saturn had such a huge 2D library that that were only most of those were only released in Japan, but those they look amazing. Capcom just released all kinds of great stuff. And I think we lost you again.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. Sorry, my connection isn't the best tonight. Next time I do this is going to be wired, because this is this wireless thing is messing me up. Yeah, in terms of 2D, like shmups and things, which I'm a huge shmup fan, Saturn was an easy system to have. Yeah. So I just love all of them. Radiant Silvergun and Darius, Gaiden, and all of those. Just incredible games.
Yeah, they look so good on CRTs with the big chunky graphics, and they play so smooth.
Oh yeah. It's just like I said, it's just a shame that we don't have that same technology yet in the LCDs and the LEDs. But
games were actually built back then on CRTs, and so the whole pixel, the way everything worked, it just sometimes games were designed around the pixel count and all that kind of thing, and
right.
So they just look better on a CRT. There's nothing anybody can do about it, no matter how you boost the res and put it on a modern TV. It don't look right because the game was originally designed to be played on a CRT. It was designed on a CRT. But everything after that, starting with the 3D stuff and all that, can be upscaled, and they look fine on modern televisions. But all the 2D stuff and all the 16, 32-bit games just look better on CRTs. But I will admit, stuff from PS2 moving forward, those can be upscaled and look pretty damn good on a high-def television. OG Xbox games, Wii games. But the older stuff, yeah,
definitely.
But back to the whole pricing thing on why I was saying 500, and I think the PS5 will also be 500, at least the one with a disc drive. I think the one without a disc drive is going to be $450, not 400. I don't think they're going to be able to get it down to $399. They're just, the only difference is they don't have a disc drive in it. You're not saving $100 by not putting a disc drive in there, and I just think they're not going to lose money on it.
Yeah, they might be even losing money. I don't know what the specifics are yet. It's kind of like when the PS3 came out. They were losing even though it was $600, they were still losing $200 per console sold, because it was actually close to $800 per console originally to make before they finally figured out how to get the production cost down. So I'm curious if they're going to do the same thing with the PS5. So if that's the case, then yeah, you're right. I don't see it being below $450.
Yeah, I think it'll be $450, and the disc version will be $500, and then the Series S will be $300, and the Series X will be $500. So who knows if Microsoft throws some money at advertising and ignores the fact that the Series S is really weak, and boasts the fact that it's a next gen system, and who knows, it might start selling like crazy.
See,
we'll go into Best Buy, and hey, that's the cheapest next gen system. But Sony's gonna be leaking out information constantly about how weak that Series S is. They just are, and the PlayStation haters, or excuse me, the Xbox haters they're going to constantly talk about how bad that system is. And you're gonna have like digital family crap on it with every game. They're gonna show the X, the PS5, and the S, and they're gonna show how bad the S is in Series S. So I don't know how it's gonna do.
I don't know either. And be honest, the S in my opinion, has to be at least as powerful as the X, the regular Xbox X. This is getting confusing with all the XS, but the currently like the Xbox X,
Yes, the
model,
One X, and then there's going to be
the
the
One X,
Series
yeah,
X.
the One X. So the One X, if the Series S
Yeah, it's
is
actually
not as
more
powerful as the
powerful.
One X,
It's more powerful than the One X
okay,
by a
so
lot. Yeah.
yeah, so then because I know the Series X, the Series X as an X-ray, that was like it's the most powerful that's going to be out next gen.
Yeah.
That one we know, that's a given. But the S, like Sam, we'll see where that lies, because if that isn't at least looks as good or better or much better than the One X,
Oh,
they're
it
going to
will.
be okay. Yeah, I hope
Because
so.
it's
Because
got the
it's
same chipset for your CPU as what the Series
okay.
X does.
Then yeah, they're okay
Now
then.
the
Yeah.
GPUs are based on two different systems, so it looks like the Xbox One has a bigger or a better GPU, but that's not really true
Yeah.
because they're not based on the same system. And then you
Right.
got faster RAM in the Series S, and you're gonna have an SSD drive. It's just everything's gonna look and play better on it, way better than the One X. And you're gone again. All right, I'm going to move away from that. We're getting close to Halloween. Hey, there you are.
Yep. I'm back.
I'm going to move away from a little game talk to a little movie talk. We're getting close to Halloween. Nothing in depth. Not doing a review here or anything, because this is just a podcast where we're just talking about stuff.
Sure.
But it's getting close to Halloween. People are already started like the 61 days of Halloween. I don't know why they chose 61 days. They're watching a horror movie per day type thing, which is crazy. I don't know. Most people can't do that if you work and stuff, but you can load up on the weekends, depending on what your schedule is, most people. But anyway, dolls. You can still order a PAL copy that's region free. So it'll play on any player, any NTSC. Well, they don't call any high def television. You're fine. It's not PAL specific. But anyway, it's only like $20, and it'll play on your American television and your American player. The actual US version is a special edition because the original copy was DVD and it's that long out of print. And now the US Blu-ray print is out of print. And they're going for like $70-$80. It's not that good a movie. It's a B movie about dolls that kill people. So, but anyway, it's good fun horror stuff for Halloween, but it can be bought still on the cheap at Amazon right now. How many copies they'll have at that price, I don't know, because once those run out, then it will truly be out of print, and then people will be screwed. But the other one is the obvious thing would be to say Halloween, but I'm gonna say Halloween too, because everybody's got a copy of Halloween, or they got a copy of the recent remake or Rob Zombie's remake. The recent one wasn't a remake; it was another sequel. But I'm talking about the original Halloween too. It's a continuation of the first movie. You can watch them together as one big long 3-hour movie, or you can watch it as a standalone movie. It holds up very well.
Yep, I agree. Yeah,
and that one can still be bought for the cheap special edition Blu-ray, and there's actually a special edition DVD of it too that doesn't look too bad.
Do they have?
But anyway, that's my little thing for Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween. This is gonna sound crazy because I know it's not really canon, but Halloween 3 is a pretty wild movie too. I mean, even has like nothing to do with 1 and 2,
Yeah.
Season of the Witch,
No, it's a
but
great movie. I love it, but
it
it's not. It's not Halloween.
yeah, they
They
could
could
have
have
named
called
it
that
something
thing
else.
anything. Well, they were
Yeah,
wanting to do an anthology series so that every single year a new Halloween movie would come out and it'd be a completely different story. But Halloween 3 just did not make enough money, and then everybody was like crying for bring back Michael Myers, and
Michael.
that's
Yeah.
what they did. And yeah, so the whole anthology thing never got to happen.
Another uh, well, it's a horror movie, but it's kind of what I like. It's hard, because these are hard to find. The Ginger Snap series, the
Oh
three
yeah,
movies that they made. I for werewolf because of course I have an affinity for wolves, as you can probably tell. But uh, as a werewolf movie, it wasn't bad. Those were pretty. It's
no,
a pretty good series.
I love the second one is amazing.
It is. It really
Yeah,
is.
I think it's better than the first one, but now the third one I didn't like. Anytime you do the whole back in time thing, that was
Yeah,
you
that
know
was
what that
weird.
was about, right? The director was banging the one girl, the older girl from the first movie, and he wanted her to be back in the series as a star of it. So the only way he could do it was or the way he came up with doing it was, well, I'll go back in time and tell a story. And
Yeah.
it was like, no, don't do that. Don't.
And to,
Oh, he
to
did it. Damn it.
to be honest, it really did end after the second one because there's
Yeah.
nothing else to say after the second one. Because the second one, like Halloween 1 and 2, was a direct continuation. So it was just an amazing movie. But even though the third one was the weakest, I still enjoyed it for what it was. I mean, there are way worse movies out there. So, but yeah, Ginger Snaps is my recommendation. At least the first two, if you can find them out there.
Yeah, I don't have Blu-ray copies. I got just regular DVD copies of both of them.
Yeah, I only have the DVDs as well. And actually, in fact, I had to import them from Canada because the Canadian versions of the DVDs had special features and a whole bunch of extra stuff and documentaries and things, and it was really cool. The U.S. version, well, we got what we got. We got the movie. That was it. Nothing
In
special. So
fact, I don't even know if they've ever been released on Blu-ray.
I don't
They're
think they
both
have.
ripe for a 4K release, so it would be really nice and put them both on one box set. Well, actually, all three, I should say.
I wonder if I can do this without. See if I can open up a new tab here, and I'm just gonna look at Amazon real quick just for fun. I don't think so, but you never know.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, I love werewolf movies too. I got a huge collection.
Oh yeah, I have even there's one that's really like it's MST3K material. It's called Blood of the Werewolf. It is it's like an indie film. It is so bad, but it's so good to watch because it's just you have to make fun of it. It hits every cliche. It makes every mistake that an amateur can make in a movie in terms of lighting and choreography and all the sorts. But it's still a werewolf film, and it's so much fun to watch and make fun of. It's very hard to find though because it was released on DVD, very limited. Um, it really is a terrible movie, but if you could find it, check it out just for the laughs.
Yeah, there's a last few years there's been like werewolf cop movies and other stuff, and actually there was another movie about werewolf cops that wasn't done for fun. That was actually serious and really good horror action movie that was made about, I don't know, 8-10 years ago. I don't even remember the name of it, but yeah, it was really good.
They actually do have a Blu-ray of Ginger Snaps on Amazon for $14.99.
That's worth it.
Yep,
But do they have the second one?
that's a great question. Let's see. Let's see it. Yeah, I don't see the second one. At least, I mean, not. I mean,
And you've dropped out again. Well, that's enough horror movie talk. I think we've covered retro gaming, a couple of horror movies since Halloween's coming up. I think every podcast between now and Halloween we'll go over some tasty treats worth watching. So Halloween 2, Dolls, and Ginger Snaps, and Ginger Snaps Back.
yep. Yep. And just, again, I didn't find the Ginger Snaps Back on Blu-ray on Amazon. I mean, if somebody finds it, feel free to let us know, because I'd love to get that. But yeah, the good stuff. Also, Dog Soldiers too. Just to throw
Yeah, oh yeah. They're supposed to be releasing a 4K print of Dog Soldiers, but
I think it's out. I think it is out. I think. Don't quote me on that one.
I don't think it'll still be that good because there is no original negative. It got lost.
So it would be an upscaled, yeah.
Even the DVD, that's why the DVDs look so crappy. Now, apparently, at some point, someone got a hold of a pristine copy of the film from somewhere in Europe, and they took that and did an internegative whatever thing. I don't know how they do it, but they made a Blu-ray print from that that's supposed to be really good. But yeah, all the other versions that's ever been released was made off the crappy copies that the original DVD was made off of, and it's not very good because they don't have the original negative.
Wow.
They've got a negative that was made from a already printed film, so that's never as good. But who knows? A negative could, because what happens is, I mean, there's only really one original negative, but when they make that, they make a bunch of them,
right?
And then and hopefully they get saved correctly, and then their prints are made off of them. Of course, now everything's digital, so once it's put on the digital stuff, it's forever, and you don't have to worry about the negatives disintegrating, whatever, or not being kept correctly.
Right. I know that there's an act of they're trying to restore a lot of the old Hollywood films as best they can, because some of them, they go into the old vaults and they open up the canisters, and it's literally dust at this point, for the really old movies. And that's just unfortunate. So I'm glad digital is taking hold. It's just for the to preserve these films, which is awesome.
Well, I wish they would still film more on actual film and then put it on the digital, but
yeah, for the look. I know what you mean.
Now, almost nothing's done on.
No, it's all done on. Yeah, it's all done digital, and then they add the filters after the fact. So it's not the same. Not the same at all.
Yeah, I think there's been a couple that's done with real film in the last few years, but not very many. Tarantino's that Western he did, Hateful Eight, that was done on film.
Yeah, he's good. I like his work, and I like the fact he uses the old formats.
Yeah.
It shows. It really does.
Who knows, though? He's only got like one more movie or two. I don't know. He's been claiming for years he's going to retire once he hits a certain number. Craziness. He's even wasting this, and he takes so long in between now.
But admittedly, his movies are quality. That's what I like about it. So, at least, when you have a Tarantino film, in my opinion, you know you're going into a movie that's likely to be very good. I don't know. I haven't really seen anything that I didn't like that he made personally.
No, his last one, that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, was good.
Yeah.
Although I don't know how much money it made. I think it did pretty well. It did good enough that I think Sony was happy and they're going to let him do another one. Or I guess it's Sony who backed that one, or whatever was the company. Right. He's no longer with Weinstein. And that's, because all the problems that Harvey had.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's lucky he's not in jail. And he still may end up in jail. I think there's still cases coming up against him. But that they just loved Tarantino so much, they let him do whatever he wanted. He's not going to find that if he was doing a lot of movies and more movies. You don't get that kind of clout unless you're you got to be making some serious money for the studios. And Tarantino's movies have done really well, but they've not done that kind of money. But he just, like I said, for whatever reason, they let him do whatever he wanted, which was great. And I think his current deal, that's how he got away with this last one. Which, although it was nothing shocking or weird or, about it, it was just a fake story about that little period of time in Hollywood. So,
no, definitely.
Well, let's see. It's time to move back into gaming. We've hit the whole price point and why they haven't. The reason they haven't announced the price, I truly believe, is Microsoft's not willing to let Sony undercut them again like they did back in 2013.
Oh,
and Microsoft said 500 and Sony immediately pulled their camera out and went, 400 for us. They're not going to let that happen this time, so they're forcing Sony to go first. And I kind of see whatever Sony does. If Sony says 500, the Series X will be 500. Sony says 400, Microsoft will bite the bullet and they'll release their console at the same price. They're going to match Sony. They're not going to undercut Sony. They're just going to match them because they got the more powerful console. And I think they're fine with that. If whatever price Sony ends up announcing, that's what you're going to see the Series X at. And I believe that's 500.
We'll know eventually. I mean, it's the next 6 or so weeks at the most, I think. I just hope that they. I'm just curious. It's like a game of chicken at this point. Everyone's like, "Well, how much do we save?" And I'm like, some people are like, "Well, just say $600." I mean, if it's 500, then boom, you have an extra 100 for games. Which is true.
Well, that's the thing about the Series X. You don't have to buy any games. Everything will be in Game Pass. Well,
that's true.
That's not totally true. There'll be third-party games.
Yeah, but I mean, by and large, most of them will end up at Game Pass. I think. Even then, even like third-party games. That's another thing that they're mentioning. A lot of the games now are going to be $70, not $60. And maybe at first they'll be $60, but eventually they're all going to cross to the $70 mark. And a lot of that too is because of how much these games cost to make. I mean, they have budgets now that exceed Hollywood films.
Oh yeah. Well, the way games calculate their profit is now based on the Hollywood system, where you got to get your money back that opening weekend. With games, it's opening weekend / first week. Right. But still, games used to not see profit sometimes till a couple years later, and companies were fine with that. Because in that 2-year span, they probably had 4 other games come out. So every quarter, they had a game from 2 years ago that was just now starting to make money, and they were being able to say, hey, we're profitable this quarter because of such and such game. But at some point, they decided they wanted to go to the Hollywood system where, nope, we want our money. We invested $80 million, $50 million, $100 million, whatever it is. Even if it's only $10 million on this game, we want our money back that opening week. it's if they don't get it, it's considered a flop, and then they won't keep pushing it. They won't advertise for it after that. It's kind of messed up.
It really is. It really
But if
is.
it's a
And I
hit,
think
that opening weekend / first week, then they'll advertise the crap out of it and push it forever and ever, and it makes a ton of money. But boy, if it's not, and then they consider it a flop, it gets
no, it's
ugly.
true. It really does, and that's why you see a lot of these studios closing suddenly. It's just like, hey, we made 3 hits, but they didn't make enough, so bye bye. It's like, ouch. Ugh, hearing that is just heartbreaking because I know a few people who work for some companies, and they got laid off multiple times for just the stupidest reasons. I mean, just because their game it made bank, made the money back, but it didn't make as much. So they're like, well, rather than invest another 100 million or 80 million, whatever it is, they're like, no, sorry, we're closing the studio. It's like,
Oh
okay,
yeah,
like Criterion is one of them. That was one of my favorites. They're gone. I mean, the programmers are still around. They're still doing work and stuff, but I mean that with the Burnout series and all, it just that was it. They just closed down after I think it was Beat for Speed or something, or they became Ghost, I think, Interactive, and then they closed that too. Uh, I mean, it's EA. I mean, EA is just like the evil company, but still.
yeah. This whole generation, there was so few sequels. Uh, Particularly from Microsoft, they were like, "Man, if it's not a hit, we're not doing a sequel." And they know the numbers, so there's no ifs and or buts. They know
Yeah,
exactly how many copies are bought, how many people play it. So they're just not going to do a sequel on a game that didn't make a lot of money for them.
yeah,
Sony's a little more lenient. A game don't have to make as much, but the truth is, if you look at this past generation, they didn't do a lot of sequels either. The sequels they were doing were from games that were already very successful in the past.
right.
But their new stuff, they didn't do a lot of new IPs, and the ones that they did do, they've not been a whole lot of sequels. Now, some of them might come this next generation where they do like with Horizon Zero Dawn, the
Right.
second will be this coming, PS5 gen. But some of their other stuff they just didn't do.
I'm hoping for a God of War, part 2 reboot.
Oh yeah,
They
that'll
rebooted.
get a sequel for the PS5.
Yeah,
But
that was an amazing game. But but you're right. You're right. By and large, there's not a lot. Now that I think about it, yeah, you're right. Now, like there was PS3. PS3, it was like Uncharted, Uncharted 2, Uncharted 3. We got an Uncharted with PS4, awesome. But you're right. There's more new IPs or newer IPs than there have been, which it may be a good thing. We'll see what happens with
well, it takes
PS5.
so long to do the games now. I think that's why
Yeah,
there's much fewer new IP done, and
I mean, look at The Last of Us Part 2. They had to delay that like 3 times.
yeah, people ended up not really liking it. It didn't sell the kind of numbers that the original Last of Us did, and of course they double dipped on it with from the PS3 to the PS4, which
Although I heard it did sell well. It's not like it sold badly. Um, I know it pushed a few million copies out. I have to look at the numbers. I don't remember. It didn't do bad for all the controversy that it had. It did okay. Um, I personally liked it. I had no problem with the story. That's just me.
yeah, I
But
liked it too. But,
and the gameplay was so much better than the original. Like the stealth just was like Metal Gear level in my opinion. It just worked. So I had so much fun with it.
they need more stealth games.
We do. We really
Yeah.
do. Well, now the Konami is well, who knows what Konami's doing. I don't know if
I know
we'll
what
ever
they're
see
doing. They
another one.
make pachinko machines and
Mobile games.
draw
Yeah.
poker machines and slot machines. That's all they do basically. They've made 2 or 3 games this generation, but not many. They
Yeah. The
just
Contra was a disaster. The new Contra game. I'm not even gonna get into it. I mean, I had my fun with it, but it's not Contra. I forgot the name of it. That's how forgettable it was.
Yeah.
Too bad. I was kind of looking forward to that too. 'Cause I love Contra. Contra is one of my favorite series.
Well, at some point, somebody will take over there, and they'll get a new president, and they'll decide to get back into gaming.
They have so many IPs that they can release. I mean, there's so much they can do. I mean, PT's loss was a big loss to me. PT was just an amazing proof of concept for Silent Hill, for example. I would love to see them do Gradius again. I'd love to see them do another Contra, a proper Contra. But we'll see.
Yeah, it might be another whole generation. Who knows before they start making games again? But they
Yeah.
own all those, so they're not giving them up.
Oh, of course, Castlevania too. I
Well,
never forget Castlevania. It's one of my favorites.
apparently they have sold the rights. Well, I should say sold the rights. They're allowing Sony to have another company make Silent Hill games. So apparently that's getting made. Come on, Konami's got nothing to do with it, but it is getting made.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, that could be good and bad.
Still 2 to 3 years away before we'd see it.
Yeah. I just would love to see Hideo Kojima's Kojima. Excuse me. I'm horrible with names, so I apologize for mispronouncing the Japanese names. But I would love to see his original vision again. You know what PT could have been, because like I said, that proof of concept was amazing. It was so creepy.
Yeah, well, hopefully his next game will be another horror game. I mean, he owns his own company. Of course, he had Sony backing him for that last game, which it didn't sell very well.
It's okay. I mean, I liked it, but it's not. I don't know. It just wasn't quite the level of what I'm used to with him. You know, like with Metal Gear and Zone of Enders. I don't know. I just didn't. Or Snatcher. Snatcher was. I would love to see a remake of that, but
yeah.
You know, it just wasn't the same thing, and I can't explain that. It has nothing to do with like the backing. I think it's just I don't know. I just don't know. So we'll see what his next game is. But
that may be a while. I think he was butthurt over the criticism of that last one so much that he's going to really take his time on the next one. Plus, he has to be careful. If he don't have a big breakout seller, Sony will not finance him at the same level.
Right.
And his studio didn't have the money to finance his own games. I mean, the only reason that last game got made is because Sony paid for it.
That's right. Yep. That's true. And they're releasing it on PC now, so or it has been released on PC rather.
Yeah.
But I mean, okay, that's cool, but still, you know, I mean, we'll see. I don't know. It just, like I said, there's so many games I'd love to see in the next generation. I mean, who knows? It just everything costs so much money now. It's just prohibitive. I mean, honestly, I think the indie games are in a better position with a lot of, in terms of making money and just getting games out that are fun. And case in point, like Hollow Knight, for example, that was an amazing game. It's indie, and it's better than a lot of AAA games. I'm not going to say all of them, of course, but I mean, honestly, I had more fun with that than I did with, say, Call of Duty or something. Just, I know they're not the same genre, but just the point of.
The thing is, though, I've got a lot of indie games, but of the thousands of indie games that dropped, there's probably only about 15 that are amazing, but they're there, and they can be really good. I miss that mid-level game that doesn't seem to get made anymore. It's either the big AAA budget or indie. I miss that in-between game that was double A, but not indie, but it still had a decent budget behind it. And those are the ones I just don't see getting made enough.
That's true. Those are very rare now. because there's really a blurred line between indie and AAA now. It's like people really don't see a double A, or I call it a single A game, where it doesn't have the budget or the backing of, say, Last of Us 2, but at the same time it's a lot more complex than anything you get in the indie scene. And you're right, there's been not many games like that. In fact, the closest thing I've seen, I'm gonna say it again, Hollow Knight. That almost feels like a double A game to me because it's extremely long. It's very well done. It runs great no matter what system you play it on. Um, it has great music, great just everything. It just hits the nail on the head. And there's not a whole lot out there that's quite like that. Um, and again, I know they're indie. I know that's technically indie, but to me, it's that level. Like another game, I guess this is considered indie, but I loved it because it was a Kickstarter game. Was Bloodstained: Ritual of the Night.
Oh yeah, that
That
was
to
really
me was
good.
like an A game or a double A because it had a physical release. They're still well. I think they may be complete now, but they were still releasing free downloadable stuff for it. I mean, with the different characters and stuff. And that's one of those few games that I 100% completed, and then not just 100%ed it, but I had to max out my character just because I had so much fun doing it. Not many games I can say that about. So I really that one I more than got my money's worth. So
Well, even like Cuphead was
that's
technically an
another one.
indie, but it's looked amazing and played amazing.
Absolutely. I was so surprised that Microsoft let it be released on both the Switch and the PS4.
No, I'm not, and I'm glad Microsoft does that kind of thing. They need
Yeah,
to, because they're letting
me too.
that company, which is so tiny, make some money. It ain't hurting Microsoft having it a year later, a year and a half later, show up on the PS4. They don't hurt Microsoft at all. Microsoft already got their sales money. They're not, people don't, for whatever reason, if you've got a system and you haven't bought a game for it, again, it's like I was saying, if you don't buy stuff in the first week, people just don't buy it. That's what they wanted. The gaming community, not community, the gaming industry
Industry, yeah.
chose that method of that's how we're going to get our money. We got to get it back immediately. So they need that big first weekend. Again, with gaming, it's more like a whole week than it is a weekend. Where movies, it's just that opening weekend. You have to hit certain numbers, and if you do, they'll keep it in theaters. They'll keep it on X amount of screens, and then they'll continue advertising for it. Whereas if it don't, they just go away. And it's the same thing with gaming. They like to get that money back. Hey, if you invest, then I kind of get it. In the game, once you start saying, "Oh, well, we spent 50 million to make this game," they want their money back. So it's that big opening weekend release or opening week, and yeah. But that's why they keep making such big games. I don't know. I'd rather have 10 smaller games than one $200 million game. You there? I think we've lost Grey Wolf again.
How about now? One,
Yeah,
two,
you're
one,
back.
two. All
You're
right, there we
loud
go.
and clear. All right,
So,
I tell you what, I think it's probably about time we wrap this up.
sure.
Any last thoughts or anything you want to get out there, or any?
Uh, just thank you again for having me. I really appreciate it. And I have to say that just to finish what I was saying in the last. I'm more of an indie gamer than anything else, but I do appreciate all games, and I think I do the indie games because I have not as much for myself. I don't have much time to really sit with these long, epics as I used to. So I like some of the smaller ones for me. But I think, like I said, I think it's going to be an interesting rest of the year for games, especially once the Xbox Series X and the PS5 come out. It'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see what happens.
Well, when new consoles drop, to be honest, I used to not care for like the first 2 years. It takes that long to start getting a decent library built up of really good games. At launch, you might get one or two, but a lot of times you don't get hardly anything that's worth playing it in the beginning. It takes time. And the thing is, they can claim it's this is for the PS5 only, but it was still built on the PS4. All right, it just was, and it was built on the Xbox One platform, because they've only had dev kits since earlier this year.
That's true.
So all those games that are dropping, they were mostly built. Not mostly, they were completely built on on the older system.
Yeah, and just upgraded.
So they got to be converted to the newer systems, and they'll pump them up. And there'll be a handful of games that they'll say, "Oh, this can't be played on the old system," but it was built on the old system and then bumped up and done whatever. And
yeah, we won't really see what those two can do for another 2 to 3 years at least.
Yeah, it takes that long, so then it starts getting really good.
I mean, only now we're seeing like again, Last of Us 2. I have to pick on it because graphically that was amazing as well. So, but it took how long to get to this point? You know what I mean? And God of War and all them.
Oh, Last of Us took an entire friggin' generation.
Yeah, exactly.
An entire generation, since the game was originally launched in early 2013.
13, yeah.
Yeah, so 7 years before the sequel hit. So yeah, it's
So we'll, like you said, I think it's a wait and see. I again, like you, I may get it on launch day. I may not. I'll know closer to the November dates. But yeah, I mean, it'll be a couple of years before we truly see what they both can do.
Yeah. Well, I guess this is a wrap up. I don't have anything else. So you want to tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, I'm actually on Twitter. My Twitter name is Grey Wolf Gamer 1. It's all one word. I go by Wolven, but that's on Twitter. You're just going to see Grey Wolf Gamer 1, and that's my icon. If you're looking at the podcast that you see there, that's if you see that icon, that's me. I'm not really. I have a YouTube channel, but I haven't done anything with it yet, so I'm not really going to pitch it just yet. And I'm not really on Facebook. I'm just really on Twitter. But feel free to message me or friend me or whatever.
I'm mostly on Twitter. I haven't been doing videos and stuff. There's only a few things on my channel, but I'm going to start filling it up. I'm doing a couple of podcasts a week. Plus, I'm on Mads Gaming's Next Gen podcast on Friday afternoons. So, and I've been on that show now for it's been about a year. So, and we're finally getting a pretty decent audience each week on that. So hopefully the same thing will happen to us. We'll consistency every Saturday night. We're here at 7:00 and we're talking games and movies and things. We're going to build up an audience, and hopefully we'll get a couple more panel members. We'll see how things go.
Bounce things off each other would be great.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, like Randall Thor and Jez Gordon do that 2-man show, but I really think we really want at least 3, and then that way you can do a 2-hour show, and it comes around each person, giving their point of view on it. It times out really well. Even 4 is fine, but 2 it's a little bit more.
Yeah, harder to do. Yeah,
5 once you get up to 5 or more, it's too many. Then you're like waiting 15 minutes in between when you get your chance to talk on whatever topic, and it's too much. But we'll see. I've put out invites, and Saturday night's a tough slot to fill. So,
well, I'll pitch it on my channel too. So
there you go. And yeah, if you can find somebody, shoot them to my DMs, and we'll get them on here.
we'll do. Awesome.
All right.
All right, sir.
Anybody
Thank
that
you very
tuned
much.
in live, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that was. We only had one guy in chat, but that's pretty cool. It's a start. Hey, it's a start. We will get an audience, and so yeah, like, shout us out, let people know we're on here, and thanks everybody, and we are. I am ending the show. Good night.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, sir.